All right, today's lesson we're going to talk about interest. So I'm sure that you've heard about interest. Sometimes interest can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. So if we're talking about interest on a credit card or a loan or a mortgage, that's something that affects us. It makes us it adds to what we're going to buy. Whereas if we get interest for our bank, for our money that's in the bank, that's a good thing because it adds to what we have in the bank. All right. So we're going to talk about, so you've probably heard interest rates and the housing prices, stuff like that. We're going to talk about simple interest today. All right. So here is a formula, the simple interest formula. This is how it is calculated. It is I equals P times R times T. So you might want to write that down. I will normally write it like this without the little multiplication sign in between them. So it just lets you know you're multiplying the I times I equals P times R times T. All right, so let's make sure you understand what each one of these are. So I is your interest. That's how much money you're making, okay, or how much you're going to have to pay, depending on the situation. P is the principal. That is your starting amount of money. So if it's a loan, it's how much you are borrowing, okay? R is going to be your interest rate. The big thing about that one is it has to be in a decimal form. So you have to turn your percent into a decimal. Remember, that's moving it 2 places to the left. And the T is going to be your time. And it's how long that money is either borrowed or invested over years. Okay, so if they give it to you in months, we're going to have to change it out. So let's just do some examples. Let's do some examples, okay? Let's move to here. All right. All right, so here we go. Let's just do a couple together. So I'm going to I'm just going to write this here. All right, so I wrote this up at the top because that always helps me to write out the formula. The nice thing about math is if they give you the formula, you can simply fill it in. All right, so my loan amount is $356. The interest rate is 8% and for 5 years. Okay, so I'm simply going to fill out what they told me here, what they told me. All right, so I'm going to start filling it out. All right, so my interest equals, so my principal was $356 times my rate is 8%. So I've got to move that 2 places, 1, 2. So that's 0.08. Then times my years is 5. All right. Then you just grab your calculator. I'm going to grab mine, 356 times 0.08 times 5, and that equals my interest equals $142, $142.40. 40 cents. So that's how much interest I'm going to pay. Now, if they ask you how much over the 5 years, how much you would have paid for it, then you would have needed to go back and add your interest to your original loan amount. Okay, you just got to read the problem. You got to know, is it asking for just the interest or is it asking for how much you've paid over the total years of the loan? Okay, all right, so let's try this one. So again, I'm just going to figure out what I have here. So the interest, I don't know the interest, equals the principal times the rate, move it 2 places, 1, 2, so 0.12 times 7. Okay, I'm going to grab my calculator. 1,500 times 0.12 times 7. That equals, gosh, a lot of interest there on that one. Interest, because that is a big amount. So my interest is 1,260. So you see where credit card companies make their money. They make it on interest, okay? They make it on interest. All right, so why don't you try these two out? Try these two. I'm going to leave up my formula here and my examples. All right, pause the video and come back when you have your answer. All right, check your work there. Let's see if you got the right amount. Okay, be very careful here. It's 4.5%. So move your decimal 2 places from where the decimal is. So that would be a 1, 2. Okay, a 1, 2 there. So make sure you move it 2 places. Okay. All right. All right, so let's check another situation. So remember I said that the months or the time has to be in months. So if you look at this one, it has been given to me in months here. So the time has to be in years. I don't know if I just said that right. The time has to be in years. So interest, I'm still going to write it out. My interest. All right, so let's check this next one out. So if you notice, this is different because um, they're in months. So let's look at it. So interest equals 658 times 0.07 times 8 months. Now, I said it has to be in years. It has to be in years. So that would be 8 over 12. So 8 over 12, because that is the months. Okay, so it's 8/12. Now, if you want, you could simplify that. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it at 8/12. Okay, now we know how to multiply fractions. We could just put ones underneath them. All right, so you're going to multiply straight across. So when I do that, 658 times 0.07 times 8 equals, so this equals 348 over 48, sorry, 348.48 over 12 though, because I need to divide it by the 12 months. So I'm going to divide by 12. I'm going to divide by 12. So that comes up to be my interest is going to be $30 and about 71 cents. $30.71. Okay, let's do this one. Interest equals 4,500 times, move your decimal 2 places, 0.18 times 9 months, 9 out of 12. Okay, now you can continue to do it this way, but also if you think about 9/12, 9/12 is the same thing as 3/4, which is the same thing as 0.75. So in this case, I'm just going to make it easier on myself, and I'm going to make that 0.75. Okay, that's 0.75 of a year. So then I'm going to grab my calculator, 4,500 times 0.18 times 0.75 equals, this would have an interest of $607.50. All right. All right, you try those out by yourself. Pause the video and come back when you have your answer. Pause the video and come back when you have your answer. All right, so this one, that is a lot of interest there, guys. A lot of interest. I mean, a lot of percentage there. Okay, so for just 3 months, you would have paid $30 in interest. $30 in interest. That's 500 times 0.24 times 3/12. Okay. This one, 125 times 0.14 times 6 months is just 0.5. So I'm just going to do it 0.5. So 125. That would equal 875. 875. Okay. All right. All right. Last thing to try. What happens if, all right. So look at this one. How is this one different than what we just did? I'm going to use my formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So in this case, if you notice, oh my goodness, I gave you the interest. So the interest equals, I gave you the principal. I did not give you the interest rate. So times, I'm going to put my R there, times 2 years. Okay. All right. So when I get a situation like this where I give you the interest rate and you're going to have to figure out here, we're going to have to solve this equation, guys. All right. We're going to have to solve this. So the first thing you want to look at is on this side, what can I do? Well, I can go ahead and multiply 1,200 times 2. I can go ahead and do that. If I multiply that by 2, that gives me 2,400. Okay, so 2,400 times R would have to give me $90. All right. So now we're solving an equation. So if you think about it, 2400 times r would give me this. So I want to figure out if the opposite of multiplying by 2400. Okay, so the opposite of multiplying by 2400 would be to divide by 2400. So I want to divide both of these sides by 2400. Okay, if I divide this by 2400, I'm simply left with my rate. If I divide this by 2400, I'm going to grab my calculator, and it comes up to be 0.0375. So that is my interest rate, but I want it as a percent. So that means I need to move my decimal 2 places. So my percent would be 3.75% is my interest rate. That's my interest rate. Okay. I'm going to try one more with you guys. All right. Doug made a 3-year investment. The interest rate is 4.5%. After 3 years, he had earned $675 in interest. So what was the original investment? All right, so think, did I give you the interest? Yes. Did I give you the principal? Nope. What's the original investment? I did not, so I'm going to put my P there. I gave you the rate, and I gave you the time. So times 0.045 times 3. All right, so you want to look on this side. What did I give you that you can do? Right, you can do this. I'm going to grab my calculator. Times 3, and that equals 0.135 times the principal is going to give me an interest of 675. Okay, what is the opposite of multiplying by 0.135? To divide by 0.135. So I'm going to grab my calculator, 675 divided by 0.135. Okay, so my principal has to equal this, put this in your calculator, it would come up to be $5,000. Okay? All right, let's see. Why don't you try this one by yourself and come back when you have your answer.